they kind of, threw a big wrench to my lecturing in this class, because until this year I always talked about the LIBOR or the Eurodollar futures, which were based on the LIBOR rates, but LIBOR rates do not exist anymore. There's a secured overnight fund rate stuff, but that's too complicated, so I'm not going to get into that. At least not in this class. In fact, I may have to change my lectures a little bit in the derivatives class next semester, because I used to talk about Eurodollar futures and using those to figure out swap contracts. I may switch to SOFR. That's something I need to do during the winter break. Similarly, so-called Euro credit markets are a market for medium-term loans extended by so-called Euro banks. And they're always in currencies that are other than the home currency of the Euro bank. So, if a German bank is offering loans in United States dollars, that would be a Euro credit. And these are typically involved in so-called syndications. So let's say I'm a US firm and I want to get $1 billion loan in Euro credit market. Typically $1 billion, even for a company like Apple, is a pretty big amount. So a single bank does not want to take the risk of all of those. And what you do, you ask one of the banks to be the lead bank. Let's say I'm Apple and I want $1 billion loan in the Euro credit market. Well, one of the largest players in the Euro credit market is HSBC, for example. Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation, which is a British bank. And I asked them, I want to borrow $1 billion. I know you guys will not want to do it by yourself, because if you take all the risk of Apple by yourself, $1 billion, that's too risky. I asked them, how about you kind of create a consortium of banks? And HSBC goes to market and announces that Apple is interested in borrowing up to $1 billion. Which one of you guys are willing to lend to Apple? A lot of banks come and say, okay, I want to be part of the deal. And as the lead bank, HSBC decides who's going to get what percent of that deal. If there's a total of, let's say, $2 billion that people are willing to lend to Apple, obviously not everybody is going to get their share, but typically they get the prorated version. So I'm, let's say, Deutsche Bank, and I'm willing to lend 300 million, but total demand or supply in this case is 2 billion. HSBC is going to tell me, okay, you can lend 150. So a pool of banks actually do the lend, and these loans are called syndicated loans. And the lead bank has an incentive because they get a fee for origination, so that they can spend time and energy and resources to get the syndication done. Now, a lot of the rates are dependent on the short-term, borrowing rates. This used to be LIBOR. So most Euro credit or deposit, most Euro credit transactions are of floating rate variety. With coupon payments or principal payments. That are quarterly. Hence, loans used to be based on LIBOR plus a credit spread. If you're Apple, that spread is pretty low, but if you're I don't know, some relatively new startup, that spread is going to be higher because you're not as creditworthy as Apple. Problem with this arrangement is that for the lenders in the syndication, they have the risk that future 3-month interest rates, whatever the reference is, may be low for the borrowers. They carry the risk of such interest rates being high. And think about yourself as a company, 2 years ago. Let's find out 3-month T-bill rates 2 years ago. Let me go to cnbc.com. Markets, bonds, treasuries, US 3-month. Let's just look at 2 years ago. 2 years ago would be October 2021, right? Pretty close to the date. 2 years ago, 3-month rate was 5 basis points, okay? 5 or 6. Three-month treasury bonds yielded 0.06%, or just 6 basis points. And that is an APR, okay? Which means every 3 months period yield was yield or interest payment, interest rate was 1.5 basis points. That means for each $10,000 loan, you paid or got, depending upon which side you are, only $1.50. Obviously, if you're one of the lenders, the risk that rates are going to go down is kind of minimal. But if you're the borrower, you're thinking rates nowhere to go but up, right? So you would have to risk it. Today, 3-month T-bills yield 5.50% or 550 basis points. That means for a $10,000 loan, you would get or pay 1/4 of 550. Well, I don't have to guess. $137.50. And the way floating rate loans work, the interest rate for the next 3-month period is determined by the 3-month rate today. So if today was the interest rate, either we originated the loan or we just made an interest payment, next payment is going to be $550, okay? 3 months ago, 3-month T-bill rate was, let's do this 6-month, so it would be 7.7, right, roughly, or 7.16. $540. And at that time, it was determined that a $10,000 loan would pay 540 divided by 4, $135.